I'll kind of do the SparkNotes version. Old games were not okay. I think modern retro games and virtual console has set people into believing that games look a certain way. Retro games look a certain way. They did not look like that back in the day because of the screens. Screens did things to sprites that made them appear certain ways. No CRT, no 15 FPS, yeah. CRT is a lot more quick. It is super cool how stuff used to appear, and it fucking sucks ass how bad things look nowadays because it's like not properly preserved. And I think also people have been kind of psyoped into thinking like, oh, well, it's supposed to look this way. But it's like, I don't think that's how it was designed to look. Like here's a PC98 game that uses dithering so that when it appeared on older screens, it would be kind of a mix of the colors. Yeah, it's more of like, it looks smooth. Like a lot of old sprites look 3D when they're shown on correct screens. But when you see them properly crisp, it looks like shit. I remember thinking that Donkey Kong Country and Mario RPG had like, I thought that they had 3D sprites because of the way that they would appear on like screens back then. Because it did kind of have like a smoothing effect. I mean, obviously the Dracula picture. Let me get the Dracula picture because that's like the most famous one for showing like how stuff did. Here you go. Sorry, this is gigantic. But it's like, it's a shame how much is like lost. How much of like the detail is lost because of the screens that we have today. Like having more fidelity has kind of ruined older games. And it's not as bad with like modern retro stuff, that's why I think it's like people look at modern retro style games, which are designed to look the way they do on modern, you know, screens. But it was not like this with older games. And I don't think, it's like you can tell with some stuff that it's not how they necessarily intended you to look at it. Yeah, depending on how many scan lines and stuff there are, like things can be a lot different. I think a really good example of this is obviously Dracula from Castlevania, where he looks fucking weird as hell on his actual proper crisp sprite, you know? But when that same sprite was on like an older TV, there's kind of like a blending effect that was going on. Like it looks 3D. I don't know. I think it's interesting. Like this one's crazy. Look at that. That's crazy to me. How different that is. Oh yeah, Final Fantasy VII I think is also a pretty good example of like the sprites themselves look already really good even today, but the smoothing effect made them look like painted portraits, in my opinion. Can I show this? This has a butt, but I think this one looks really, really good. I don't think it's too inappropriate. This one, it turns 3D. There's a butt, watch out. Children, avert your eyes. But look at that huge like difference in how much detail there is lost. I don't know, kind of sad. Here's a Donkey Kong one. Look at him, he's so 3D. That's crazy. Rare is just fucking cracked. Rare's just insanely cracked. That's crazy. I really thought that this game was 3D back in the day. I really thought this game was 3D. Same happens with DOS and PS1 games on old monitors and old TVs. Games really take your brain, forcing your brain to imagine the gap between the limited graphics and patterns on screen to create something fresh. Yeah, very, very different. I think Donkey Kong still looks 3D even without like being on the screen though, but there's a lot of, I recommend if you find that stuff cool, go look up like a lot of older sprites, how they look like on it, on older monitors. It's super cool. It's super fun to see, especially a lot of old fighting games looked really nice. Like King of Fighters. Yeah, look at that. Like the smoothness. Look at Kefka. Oh my god, he's fucking gigantic. Look at Kefka. How like smaller the face details look. The details just become a lot like smaller and precise. Super cool. At really high resolution with very limited color palette, they did some amazing stuff. Yeah! You know what, I'll just show it to you. It kind of hurts my eyes a little bit, but I think it's a really good example. Just like the dithering one. It's a bit dark, but the right is like the actual sprites, and you can see how different they looked because of screens. But if you were to play this modernly, you know, it's like they're compensating for the lens. Oh wait, Chrono Trigger is a great example. Like the smoothness. It's just like stuff is so much more smooth looking. Like it's blended. But we've been psyoped into thinking the right is correct. It's not. The right is not correct, I think, in my opinion. I assume when they designed it back in the day, the left is what they intended it to look like. It looks bad. It looks weird because it's like, because of the colors, the contrast and stuff, it just looks like garbage in some places. But it's because it was gonna be, left might be correct, but only on that specific TV. Well, yeah, but overall, TVs like CRTs back then would have had more of a blurring effect. Like every TV is gonna look different back then. Every monitor is gonna look different. There's gonna be like some variation, but it's still gonna be overall closer to what the artist intended than, you know, a perfect, like the perfect pixels of what we get today. I don't know. Just interesting, I think.